Good evening, everybody.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another large-scale live.
We are live, right?
We are.
Everybody can see us.
We're not Memorex.
Not Memorex. Man, I think I got one of those. I got some cassettes laying around here somewhere now. I got to look for them.
They're underneath your, your projects and.
I don't know. I got a lot of projects laying here.
Yeah, all the
If you need some battery plugs, I got a whole pile of those laying there. So we hope everybody's ready for a good show tonight. We've actually got a couple of different guests for you, several different topics to go over. We got some upcoming shows to talk about and product announcements. And we'll get right to all of that after our video here from our sponsor, Splitjaw. And we'll get moving.
The following episode of Large Scale Live is brought to you by Splitjaw, makers of quality metal products for the G-scale modeling world. For rail clamps, expansion joints, bridges, and more, Splitjaw Products has you covered. For more information, visit their website at www.railclamp.com.
All right. See anything going on in the chat there, Nico, that we need to...
Everyone's just saying hello to everyone.
Just saying hello.
Somebody said we have the greatest show on earth, which,
He
Dominic.
is kind of like a super fan.
That's okay.
I see him everywhere telling everybody they need to watch. Hey, there's Taya.
Tia says Happy New Year, this is the first show of the new year. So,
I forgot to say Happy New Year to everybody.
Happy New Year.
All right. So I said there's some upcoming events. I did update this. I'm actually kind of feeling overwhelmed with the amount of events that are coming up.
That's a good thing.
As always, this is up on our website. You can head on over to our site if you'd like to get more details on what I'm about to talk about. And as always, let me put that up there. The website, of course, is largescaletrains.com. And all you got to do once you get on the site is go to the drop down and go to the events section there. So the first event that's on there, as I mentioned each time, if you're over in the UK, this is actually a show that's taking place over there for large scale, but I know there's a few people that watch over there. That's the Midlands Garden Rail Show. That's going to be March 2nd and 3rd from 10 to 4 each day. We have the Cincinnati Garden Railway Society's show coming up. It's going to be March 30th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. And we're actually going to talk some more about that show here real shortly. The East Coast Large Scale Train Show, I just saw an announcement on their website and the Facebook page that they are going to be doing their show April 12th and 13th this year. I don't have any other info for you beyond that. I'm pretty certain it's going to be in the same place or real close to where it was at.
From what I heard, it's going to be on the opposite side, not in the smaller venue, but in the larger venue on the opposite side.
Okay. I wasn't sure. I saw their posting on there. Let's see. So yeah, that's coming up. Of course, April 27th and 28th is going to be the Northeast Large Scale Train Show. That's going to be up in West Springfield, Massachusetts at the Eastern States Exposition Fairgrounds. And for anybody that was there at the
Big E,
the show that was going on this weekend, they have the All Scale show going on there this weekend. So if you were there, you know exactly where this is going to be at. Of course, RLD Hobbies, May 3rd and 4th, is going to have their spring train meet, which is, of course, battery, live steam. You can bring your stuff, run it on the store layout.
Always a good time.
You're going to be there?
No, I said it's always a good time.
Oh, but are you going to be there?
No, I won't be there.
Okay. I'm holding off for the fall one. There's like a bunch of stuff that's like piling up together. So it's kind of like I got to pick and choose.
I got to keep my job. So, yes.
That too. Of course, there's going to be the Midwest gathering in Kansas City, Missouri. That's going to be May 30th to June 2nd. I believe that is a little bit more of expanded. I think they're going to have some layout tours and I think some clinics and stuff. And let's see, of course, in Warren, Ohio here, June 1st is going to be the Northeast Ohio Large Scale Train Show. You'll see me there, of course, because it's like 20 minutes from my house. We're going to see you there, Nico?
I'm going to try.
Going to try? Okay. Then June 15th to the 20th is the Big Train Operators Convention. That's in Burdenham, PA. And as I mentioned each time, out of all the stuff that's on here, I'm pretty sure it's the only one. You need to be a member of the Big Train Operators Club to attend that, and you do have to register for it. The cost of joining the club is very little. You get a nice quarterly magazine. You get a nice full calendar in December, which I should have had that laying here to show, but I'd have to go look for it because it's in a stack of mail somewhere at the second. So apologize, fellow BTO members, that I did not have that prepared. Nico's used to my letdown and disappointment. And then looks like August 23rd to the 25th, the Georgia Garden Railway Society is going to be holding their Southern Regional get-together. And I believe that is a more expanded with some layout tours and clinics and things. Again, if you go to the site, there's actually some more more info. And there's also links to the official websites for these different shows and that are coming up.
Tia said the membership is $50 a year for BTO.
Thank you. So that is all I have for that. Let's see what else I had to talk about here. Okay. So I do have a couple product new items that I had come up. And as always, if you go to the website and go to the news section, there's actually several things sorted in here, but the two things I was touching on, one is Ring Engineering that makes the Rail Pro has actually announced their new HC3 wireless handheld controller. And as you can see in this side-by-side image here, it is slightly shorter in height. It's the same width, and it's actually a little bit narrower. Screen size has not changed on that. The dial on it is a little bit smaller, but they have included 4 customizable physical buttons. So I'm guessing you can map those to things like the horn, the bell, maybe an e-stop. I don't have very specific info on that because they just mentioned it, but I do have a little bit more info about it up there on the site if you want to check it out, including a link to Ring's website where you can see their official thing on it. I guess that is one thing to note on there is it does include a lanyard connection on the bottom now, which I know a lot of people would like that.
A lot of people that drop their remotes will like that.
I think their name's Jonathan. I'm not sure. And anybody that is a fan of Manny Real and his cases that he's making, he actually is working on a new case for the HC-3 that's in development right now. So if you end up getting one of the new ones, just hold tight. Manny will have you taken care of on that. The other item that I had on here, let's see. Get my page to go back.
Cody said, check your messages, Andrew.
Which messages, Cody? Well, that's great that Cody sent me pictures now, but I don't got time to pull them down, download them, and put them up. So thank you, Cody. I appreciate it.
Yes, you do.
I will potentially use those pictures for the site later. So thank you. The other item, which we know our friend Jonathan is all excited about because he's a big FA fan, is
and Revo fan.
And Revo fan.
Yes.
Revolution has actually released a Alco sound file that you can now upgrade your boards with. And actually, going to mention this here. I forgot to mention the photos I used for the Rail Pro. Those are actually pictures I got from Robbie at RLD, which I do have mentioned on the page. But again, thank you to Robbie for letting me use those photos. And on the new sound file for the Alco, since I haven't tested it out yet, our friend Paul Carr, who many may know, there's a link to his YouTube channel on the site, actually sent us a video that we were able to use that demonstrates the audio sound.
Very good.
Okay. I'm not going to play the whole minute 50 of it, but I'll play the first 30 seconds or so here.
Sounds like an Alco.
Yeah. So if you'd like to check that out a little bit further, you can head on over to the site. I've also got the video on there that shows some of the older Revo sounds. I need to go back and actually update that because it is missing, like the SD60 and I think the GP9.
Do you have all the Steam sounds also?
Actually, you know what? I got a thing right here. Let's see. Not shown in the video, but available are GP9, SD60, the small steam locomotive 040, and the medium number 90. So those ones I don't have in the file. I need to make a new video clip here.
Okay.
For that. But, you know, I'm happy to see a new sound file. I'm kind of glad it's an Alco because I got, I think, 5 that could use it. And then the only other thing I had news-wise to mention, let's see. I wanted to go back to mentioning Manny's Rail Pro cases, and the reason why I wanted to mention that has to do with Airwire. The last time I mentioned this, he had the Rail Pro, the T5000 case, but he actually had, wait, I got the same picture in there. I got one of the 2 pictures in there twice. Okay. So I got the wrong picture in here. I'm going to have to fix that. But for Airwire, he's got the T5000 and the 6000, which is the longer Airwire remote. Okay. I'm not sure how I screwed that one up. But he does have both of them for the Airwire controllers. And, of course, he's working on the one for the new HC-3 Revo cases.
And he has the one for the Revolution too, also.
That is correct. And for the Revolution. I scrolled. Yeah, I thought I showed that last time, but I'll scroll down here. Yeah, for the one for the Revo. So let's see here. I think that covers that stuff I had to go through. I do not have any photo contest winners to show you photos from the Facebook groups this time because due to circumstances beyond my control for a change, I didn't get a chance to start those contests in the groups until the other day. So I'll be showing those to you on the next live stream.
I know it's hard to believe.
Andrew making a mistake. Yeah, I know, Jens. Low standards to live up to, right?
Keep them low, then you don't have to when you let people down.
Okay, so if I missed anything else in the chat I needed to look at here, Nico?
I don't believe so.
Okay, hey, it looks like we've got 90, 91, 92 people between Facebook and YouTube. Great to see everybody in there.
Thank you for watching.
I do have a quick advert for Me Love Trains since they're so nice to provide us some sponsorship. And when we get back, we'll be talking to our first guest from the Cincinnati Garden Railway Society. So we'll be right back. All right, so let's bring our guests on we got here. And, oh, there's me. We don't want that. All right, so you see from the name tag, it says Zach. For the viewers at home, who are the other 2 people with you, Zach?
Yes, this is Dave Taylor and Dave Harkemeyer.
I feel like we got robbed because we don't got a third Dave. I'm
We're
just
teamed up.
Hi, my name's Zachary, and this is my brother Dave, and this is my other brother.
And my other brother Dave, yeah.
So, you guys are doing a more expanded show than what you normally do this year, correct?
Yes, we are. So for the first time, we're going to expand the hours. I think this is, what year is it? How many years is
No,
this?
this is around 8 or 9.
The 8th or 9th year. So what we're going to do is increase part of the problem with getting larger vendors is that they don't want to come to an event that lasts for 3 or 4 hours. They want to come to a longer event. So by increasing the time, we're able to get several vendors who have never attended before to the event.
That's good.
Okay. Sorry, I'm looking to pull your show flyer up here to put up for everybody. I thought I had it sitting right in front of me.
It's 10 till 4 p.m. now.
10 till 4, that's right.
And that's just
Whereas before it was till 1:30.
it's just one day.
One day.
One day.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, we had a vendor from Georgia that we won't name names. It sounds kind of rhymes with "We Love Trains." Call up. He'd like to have. He'd make the trip up if we'd extend the hours out a little bit. So
That guy
Yeah.
kind of gets around, you know.
yeah. So he came. He ordered. He's got 20 tables for the show.
There we go. Is that the right flyer?
Yeah, that's it.
That's it. And we've been talking to Jim Dornbush from G-Scale Junction.
Ah,
He's still kicking the tires on it, so we're still working on him. We only have 20 tables left to rent out, so he's going to have to make a decision soon. But yeah, we're hoping Jim can make the trip up as well.
Yeah.
Some of the differences, prior years, we only had a stop meet, whereas now it's a train show with clinics, multiple clinics throughout the day, raffles throughout the day, and also we're going to have live steam set up inside the large room, our expo room at Entertainment Junction. And our outdoor layout will be open if weather permitting.
oh, that'll be nice.
Yeah.
So those are the differences than prior years. In the prior years, it was just a swap meet with local dealers. Now we have dealers come from multiple states.
That's good.
Yeah.
Somebody wants to know if that's the train layout in the background.
That is,
That is.
that's the modern city part of the train.
We are emanating from Entertainment Junction.
Yeah. That's one of the even better benefits of going to your show is you're also rated Entertainment Junction. I mean, how can you not want to go, right?
Yeah, that's a huge benefit. Absolutely.
There's 25,000 square feet of model train running G-scale. 3 different distinct sections based on age group.
Yep. And of course, it's all themed, from modern city, as you see behind us, to, the first instances of steam being on rail. So all the way through logging, coaling, riverboat, that's all here at Entertainment Junction. And for part of our raffle, we're going to have several items for our raffle. So we're going to have tickets that we're going to raffle off for a family of 4 to walk through Entertainment Junction that day or some other time if they'd like.
So when they're going to go into the show, the train show, it's not like they're paying to go into the display. The train show is separate from the display.
The show itself is free to get into.
Oh, okay.
Correct. Yeah, the show is free, and we're going to raffle off tickets. So if they want to go into Entertainment Junction and see the layout, they typically would have to pay. So to offset that, at least for one family, we're going to have a set of 4 tickets that we're going to raffle off.
Okay.
Do you guys have a mailing list? that they could see up next upcoming shows? Is there any type of
We have a Facebook page that they can go to. So it is GCGRS, Greater Cincinnati Garden Railway Society, that they can go to, and we post there. Most of our events, if not all of our events, are on that page.
Yeah.
okay?
At the bottom of the screen, the URL that I have up is actually the one that takes you directly to the site for the show you're doing, which is largescaleshow.com, correct?
Correct.
And actually,
And we still have some tables available, so they're going quick, and that's not a sales pitch, that is truth. That if they want to sign up for more tables to bring trains, they can do that
and
on that site.
bring up your website here to let people know. I mean, you do have general info about the show on here, address, hours. You've got hotels listed. You got the info for tables and vendors. I really liked you guys actually even have a schedule on here. Since you have some different things going on. I think you guys got this very well laid out and planned out. So kudos to you guys.
The hotels listed as just a smidgen of the number here. There's like 6 listed on the website, but there's easily 20 hotels you can choose from within a 5 to 10 mile radius. Easily.
The hotels that you have listed, those are just ones you listed. You don't have like a group code or like a special rate with the hotel or anything, correct?
No.
We do not.
Okay. I just wanted to ask because I'm sure someone was going to ask me that.
And that's fine. I mean, probably for future years to come, that will be something we'll try to negotiate.
When it comes to restaurants, there's fast food all the way up to sit-down dining in this area. There's a ton of selections to choose from within a quarter to a half a mile of Entertainment Junction.
Frankly, I don't know what we don't have around here.
All right.
I mean, there are major eateries.
All right. Is there anything else you guys have to tell us about your show?
Well, one thing, we're going to have the live stream module set up. So anybody that's new to live stream, at some point during the day, I think it's going to be around the 2:30 period, we're going to have like an introduction to live stream. Alan Pantley, one of our members here, is he's going to have a little, I guess you'd call it a clinic, whatever. And he's going to, just do a little introduction to live stream, just take you from the very basics, adding the water to, whatever it is, just right from the start, and maybe do like a 45-minute clinic on that. So if somebody's new to live stream, it'd be a perfect little introduction.
All right. Wonderful. And of course, everybody.
The size this year, last year we had around 52 tables for dealers to sell merchandise just for a swap week, without clinics, without live stream, without the outdoor railroad running. This year, it's already exceeded that number with larger dealers coming from the Midwest and the South.
80 tables is what we'll have. I'm quite confident we'll end up selling that out, but it will be 80 tables at G-Scale for sure.
Yeah.
Great.
One thing, real quick, Don Naders was telling us that he just bought a collection. Don Naders is the owner of Entertainment Junction, and he just bought another collection. He buys collections probably 2 or 3 times a year. Well, this one happens to have a lot of L&N components in it. So anybody who's out there who's looking for an L&N, that will be available at the swap meet, that collection at the swap meet.
Wonderful.
Great. Well, thank you guys for coming on.
Thanks for having
Thanks
us.
for having us. Look forward to seeing everyone.
Yeah, remember, guys, largescaleshow.com to get more info on their upcoming event. And I look forward to seeing you guys there. I know I'll be there. I'll have to see if I can get Nico to come along.
Bring him along. We'd love to have him.
Pay for my plane ticket.
Oh, well, there is that.
All right.
All righty. Thanks again, guys.
Yep.
Thank you.
Guys.
Take care.
Appreciate it.
Bye.
All right. So that's going to be a pretty decent show. I've always liked going to it when it was smaller than what it's going to be this year. So I think it's just going to be that much better.
Yeah, it's always great when you see it grow each year and get more vendors and more traction.
Absolutely. All right. So
Without further ado,
I'm going to add our other guests. I see one of them racing around his chair to sit down. Okay. And all right. They look ready.
okay.
Our other guests are Rob. I don't know how to say your last name properly, and Turk Russell. Rob, how do I say your last name so I don't butcher it?
It's Segessenman.
Segessenman. Okay. I promise I'll try to remember that, but I'll probably still screw it up again.
I'll help you out. Rob S. and Turk.
Oh, that works.
Let's see. We'll put you guys over there since you're both together. So,
I know we had you guys in the wings there a little bit. Sorry about
Yeah.
that, but
Not a problem.
let's see here.
we appreciate you coming on. So, obviously, from our title, you guys are from the Susquehanna Valley Garden Railway Society. And why don't you tell us, just for the people watching, how you got interested in the hobby? And then, we'll go from there.
And at the bottom of the screen, svgrs.net is the URL for your guys' club website, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Just wanted to put that up there for people if they wanted to check that out.
So, Andrew, do you want to set up the pictures for one of us first, and then each of us will take a turn to explain and go over things?
Absolutely. Who are we going to start with?
You tell us.
I'll start with Rob because Turk talks a lot. No, I'm just kidding, Turk.
That's true.
So yeah, give me. So you go right on ahead there, Rob, and I'll get some pictures up here of your layout you started out with.
Okay.
For anybody that does, go ahead, Rob.
Yeah, I mean, growing up as a preteen and teen, I always knew my dad had trains. He had them all over his house growing up. But until I got, I'll say 11 or 12, and got interested in myself, we started off with an N-gauge layout and kind of outgrew that, and then did some HON3, and we joined a big HO club outside of Philadelphia, Gadsby Lines. And that was a huge kind of learning curve and experience to kind of merge my own experience with a big club. And then both my parents and myself wound up moving from outside of Philadelphia to the Gettysburg, Pennsylvania area. And, the trains kind of got all packed away and hadn't really done a whole lot with it. And on a whim, I bought a set for my dad for, believe it was for Christmas. And it started a big kind of push. We both wound up with layouts in our houses and pretty expensive collections. So what you see here on the page is me using a garden hose just to kind of figure out how the track was going to meander through some marsh grass and a flower bed in my yard. And then you can click ahead. That's that same kind of area now all done up. With a train running around it. Keep rolling along. So the one end of my layout is actually on the ground. The other end is elevated. This will eventually have a retaining wall built alongside of it, so it doesn't look like it's a big thing up on stilts. But that's about 3 foot high, and I have about 300 foot of track and a big, long, elongated dog bone. A lot of what you see here is some of my 1/20th stuff, but I also run a lot of 1/29th stuff as well, using Logis Creek track.
Sorry about the noise. I'm moving my microphone here because it's making some noises.
Andrew, can you get that photo a little bigger? Will it enlarge, buddy?
There you go.
And Rob, you can tell him about your cold tipple and the tower, how they're different.
Yeah, these are 1/20th cold tipple and a dual spouted water tower that exactly model the stuff that's in Durango. This was a 3 foot scale model,
right?
and it was a limited production run that I
was very blessed to wind up getting a couple pieces of. And the water tower is actually the model that was built as the demo by the owner of that company that I wound up talking him out of. So these don't stay outside. They're all wood, but I bring them out and put them out for a couple days at a time if I have nice weather.
Nice.
Very nice.
And that's
this is the last picture I had for your stuff, Rob.
Yep. And that shows kind of the art area. That's my wife and I at a train open house we had.
Very nice.
Now, do you actually have, that's elevated, but is that backfilled with ballast, Rob?
So what I did was, that's kind of a traditional deck that's built underneath of there, and then I covered it with rubber roofing material and then put ballast on top of it.
Ah, okay.
Very nice. Cool.
It's a lot of fun, and you get people driving down the street. If you have your sound turned up loud enough, you can see them turn their head. So yeah,
we've all experienced that once or twice.
Yeah.
Let's see. Sorry, I'm not ignoring you. I'm trying to look at 5 things over here.
No, that's no problem.
So you got into it. You're through your father, I guess, is what you're saying, that your dad had an interest in it, and then from that you kind of had interest in it and continued with it until adulthood.
Yeah, I mean, I started with small scales, and I still have a little bit of a collection of that. I don't have any kind of a layout, but been doing the large scale stuff for probably 12 to 14 years now.
And I'll add in, Rob and I met because I was already in the club with my best friend, and Rob he's a rivet counter guy, likes narrow gauge, and he bought a K28 from me, that first train I ever listed on Evil Bay. Mm-hmm. And him and his dad came over to the house. They saw the trains, they joined the club, and it was a great addition. So that's how things work sometimes.
Yep.
That's one thing I was going to point out when Rob was starting, is that, so anybody that went to the old York shows, the East Coast Large Scale Train Show, when you would walk in the main entrance, and then there was always that beautiful layout on the ground with all the scenery and plants, and that was your club, correct?
Yes, sir. That's us.
Looks like we have a question from someone wanting to know, what elevation height did you go with for your yard bench?
So it starts off about from where I'm standing taking that picture, you see it's about 1 foot off the ground, and the natural elevation in my yard falls away to behind where I'm standing. It's about 3 foot high.
Oh, okay. And was that elevated more so to save your back, or was it just to kind of try and keep everything level, like with the slope of the yard?
I do still have grades up to one place where I have like 2.5%. But the yard is more grade than I wanted, and I didn't want it all on the ground. It is kind of nice having some of it up to where you can put a train on without having to get on your knees.
I can agree with that.
That's what Andrew does.
And he has one loop that's track powered, and most of his is battery powered.
Yeah, most of my 120th stuff is battery powered. I'm just converting some of the 129 stuff over, but I do have it electrified, so I can run factory stuff for the main loop.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Now we're going to switch over to Turk.
All right, let me get the Turk photos.
Yeah, the first ones will be entertaining.
Well, I thought they were.
There you go. Look at that fro, baby.
Turk with hair.
I was introduced to HO scale from my parents, who had 4x8 platforms already set up in our basement. And they had 2 friends in the neighborhood that they shared the hobby with, and they traveled to Paul's Model Railroad Shop in Gilbert's, New Oxford, and Gettysburg. By the time I was in middle school, I had built this layout with another friend, and my dad had Super O scale that he had in another room. And then, of course, like everything, you lose a little interest after college and moving out. We didn't do anything, but my best friend, Jeff Schubert, who's our club treasurer, and I did go and chased trains at East Broad Top, Western Maryland, Stroudsburg. We did Gettysburg, a lot of running. So we built a small HO layout in the basement, which you won't see. This is just the original layout that I started when I was a kid and expanded into 2 4x8s. So anyway, we both love real trains. Like I said, we did chase stuff. And then Jeff found the Susquehanna Valley Garden Railroaders in 1995 that they were in York, PA, which is about an hour and 10 minutes from where we are. Rob is from Littlestown. I'm from Waynesboro. Littlestown is 20 minutes from Gettysburg. I'm about 40 minutes from there, but Waynesboro is the last town on the map till you get to the Maryland line. So I'm like 15 minutes from Hagerstown, Maryland. You know, Frederick, Maryland, people may know that's like 30 minutes. So anyway, Jeff and I both like the G scale and said, well, we're tired of dickering around with little HO stuff. It's small. Plus I ran a stereo shop. So I'm working on CD players and cassette players and stuff during the day and come home working on little N scale and HO. I'm like, this G seems kind of neat. Let's give it a whirl. So Jeff's layout came before mine. Mine was smaller, but this is kind of the last layout I had. And basically we joined in 1996 and there were 68 members at the time. And we learned a lot really fast because our club members back in the 90s and the early 2000s had some extravagant layouts that, you know, shadow what Rob and I had, which is really large. The original, I'll get into more of that about our club and how it started and stuff. But we averaged around 68 members and basically we had like 40 layouts, which was amazing. We did a lot of home and garden shows with the TCA and stuff at the time. That's my train workroom in the basement. So basically, after I'd sold the stereo shop, I'd been doing trains and work. I was fortunate enough to have the Bachman guys invite me down there, as well as Navin at Aristo and Gene and USA, and spent a lot of time fixing trains through warranty and out of warranty, which was never planned. It was just like anybody, you know, you start working on your stuff because it's outdoors. Somebody's dropping a train in a pond or in the water or knocking it over, crappy track, no rail clamps, whatever it may be. So that turned into kind of a sideline. And to this day, we still fix a lot of trains for people. Over Christmas, Barry and I did about 42 locomotives. So today I am the president of Susquehanna Valley Garden Railroaders. Jeff is the treasurer I mentioned, and Rob is our secretary/coordinator. So that gives you kind of our history with stuff.
Absolutely.
Everybody knows, as you mentioned, if you've been to York, you've seen the years whenever I'm involved or Jeff, you'll see the logging because that was my big thing. I spent some time at Cass. I kind of fell in love with the Shays and the Heisler, even though I was a normal rod engine guy for years. And, you know, Rob was a rod engine, but I introduced a lot of our club members to Cass. And then we'd take a trip down there once a year when they had the spring run before they open. And, you know, it's a sight to see, totally different. And we really enjoyed that. So I kind of integrated that into the club's displays. I was fortunate that Barry McNew, he's like an uncle to me. He taught at 2 different schools and retired out of one because they quit shop class for the kids. All the scrap wood, they get rid of it, poplar and oak. So in the evenings, once or twice a week, Jeff and I get down there and we just build and milled and build and milled. And you'll see this in the stuff. And that's how Turk got to know as a log train guy. So.
That's great.
Yep. So we can tell you a little bit about our club.
That'd be good.
It was founded in 1994 by Gene and Mary and their daughter Lisa Bull in York, Pennsylvania. So we have members as far as Northumberland, right? PA, almost Williamsport, Pennsylvania.
Almost to Williamsport, almost to Lancaster in the east, and west here, kind of Chambersburg, Shippensburg.
We used to have some Hagerstown, Maryland, but no longer so Waynesboro. So we have a big draw. We're not like most clubs where we have a meeting every month. We're more social guys. We have open houses like everybody else does and meet for meetings and stuff. Although the unfortunate part of the hobby, as you all know, it's dwindled. We've lost probably 50% of our membership in the past 8 to 9 years, just due to age, passing on. And a lot of those folks had some really large layouts. We all know what the cost is nowadays because guys like Nico and I sell collection, get rid of because it's hard to afford getting into the hobby anymore like it was back in the day when we all started. You know, track was $2.50 a foot. Those days are long gone unless you're getting it from one of us at the show for $2 or $3.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Our club, the fortunate thing about it was that the Bowles had a small landscaping business, and their daughter ran 2 golf courses, and she was a big landscaper. So they had a bobcat, a backhoe, and all this stuff. And when they said, we don't build layouts with modules, we build real layouts. So the first time I went to the York Fair, and I was like, oh my goodness, this is crazy. You know, they're building stuff from crazy scratch. If you ever went to the first large scale show, which is where they're showing now at York, some of you may remember we had a Volkswagen Beetle in there with a waterfall coming out of it because Lisa didn't know what to do, so they went this whimsical thing. We later transitioned into more of your standard traditional garden railways.
Well, see, I definitely missed that.
Yeah, I was going to put that picture up, but that would be a long conversation piece. So also we had Tom and Fern McLeod, if you've been to the York show or anywhere, that owned Appalachian Nurseries. I'm sure everybody knows, bought miniature plants. They were one of the few people that were early on doing it. And then my best friend, when his wife joined in, she was a high-end landscaper that was head of the business at Phillips Seed. And basically then we got in with Stalfers at Kissel Hill in York because they are the largest with 3 businesses. And it kind of worked together for us because we were able to build what other people don't want to. We get in the dirt, we get messy. You've all seen it. We do a crap load of work in a day to a day and a half for people to enjoy for 3 days to a week.
So what you saw there in the picture before this one was, we walk into the York Fair building, we put a piece of plastic down, and that sets the size for the layout. That's a carpeted entryway there, and we've got water features, we got live plants, all kinds of organic material. That sets it up, right?
We protect the rug to the best of our ability, and you'll see Andrew can roll on to the next photos.
Yeah. So when my dad and I got involved with the East Coast show, we would often mock up the track designs. My dad did a number of them in his barn. So we tried things out before we actually came to the show. And you see in the background there, we got into the doing some elevated platforms. That was kind of a later feature that we did. And you can roll in.
Go ahead into the next one. Yeah. We have a track program for design, which we did use sometimes, but as most people know, it's a freehand thing you start with. You're either going to start with, some people start as little as 4 foot, but most start with 8 to 10 foot curve. And then an inside layout will consist of anywhere for logging of 4 to 5s. And when you're working in a confined space, due to whatever, a lot of times Rob's dad was great to have the barn because he could lay it out. And then I'd say, okay, we have to downsize this because is it a garden train or is it a train garden? That's always the battle. And we were so fortunate to have, lots of landscapers in there. And I forgot to mention Jeffrey Johnston Ball as well, Swingsport, that does landscaping. So that's what made our club really nice. That we could back up to Phillips Seeds or Stalvers at Kissel Hill, take $3,000 to $5,000 worth of plant, sign off on it. And as long as we gave them some passes to go to other shows and stuff, they loaned us the plants and we built it. And you guys have all been there and seen it. The York show is very small compared to some you'll see, but this is Jeffrey.
That's Jeffrey Johnston Ball
with his little Russian cap on there. And then the bald man's me laying on the floor there.
I do have to admit, Turk, that, the years that I went and I saw it, I never put enough thought into the amount of work and effort that you guys had to put in to actually put that layout together every year until I started looking at your pictures of actually building it. So,
yeah, we'd go in there on Thursday and build this, and it was a lot of fun, right? We had a good number of people. You start by putting the track down, putting all the rail clamps on, getting the electrical wires set for things. When we got into doing the elevated platforms, those were kind of the anchor points that we would set on the plastic, and then things would kind of key off of that. Bridges, trussels, all these kinds of things, the waterfall that we almost always had in there, those major elements go in first before you bring, wheelbarrow loads of mulch or the live plants, right? You see some trussels sitting there on the floor and everybody working to get track connected.
We had a couple master carpenters that we were fortunate that, they would look at my train books and they'd say, I want to build that. I say, well, here's the scale. And then Rob and I are both working and still work, and there we are doing a trestle setup there. We kind of always went overboard because we wanted to show off what we could do at the York show. Some years we went really shallow, but most of the time it was pretty crazy just to demonstrate what you could do. And, it was always the talk of the town. I'm like Rob said, Thursday setting up, or Fridays when we started doing early Fridays and then set from like 4 to 7. That was a mad rush to get it done. But the shows have modified and they've changed, not for the better, really. But, we all miss that, where we have lots of people that can talk, give seminars, get ideas. I mean, I got my ideas from traveling to Colorado and to Cass, West Virginia. Rob was big with Reading and Northern and that stuff. So we learned a lot. And the landscapers, when they go to, Mel Schubert goes to Philadelphia Flower Show every year, and she comes home and says, Turk, I'd like to do this. I'm like, is there room for my track? So, I believe that one, enlarge that, Andrew. I think that has the big sawmill. I can't remember. We have a couple different versions.
Yeah. Okay.
No, that's the little one. And most of ours intertwined. The club owns a 20-foot trailer, tandem axle, and then like the logging stuff all belongs to me. There's no club stuff belongs to that. And then everybody can bring their own engines, even though the club has 23 engines and we have all the track and stuff. Each person was so into it through the 90s and the millennial years and on that we're able to always duplicate something like this. So
I have a video of Vinny and I. First time I took him to the East Coast show, he must have been like 4 or 5 years old, and we're sitting on the left side, of the layout, watching the logging going around. It was great.
Yep. And there's a couple, as you roll through these pictures that, we've pulled from different years. So it's not all the same display, right? This sawmill here that you see, that actually operated inside. It was, one of our modelers was just fantastic on that. So it was animated, right? And that's, that was just amazing to watch that. And, it was sounds and physical motion.
Jakey Midhour, who was in the club, he was an engineer at Mack and Volvo. He fell in love with logging, was at my house. We spent a lot of time. He says, I have a sawmill, which you'll see another, which is much smaller, that's motion. And he decided, I'm going all crazy. Go back there once, Andrew, go back to the one we just were previously. If you zoom in, if you look there, right beside the Reading hopper, if you'll scroll your mouse, you can point to the right. Oh, too far. Come to your right. There you go. That jack slip ran back and forth. The logs loaded, and that saw actually ran, even though we had a cut blade there, and we had the little conveyor belt with the sawdust producing that. And if you roll back a little further to your right, there was a bandsaw there that actually ran animated. And you see, Jake was always into LED lights and stuff. Really neat. Most of the stacks were all built lumber that Barry and Jeff and I built at the school at nighttime, because it's all scrap stuff. Thank goodness they came out with, super glue with activator, because we could go really fast. And now if you zoom out a little bit there, buddy, I can show to the left a little bit. Right up in the corner of the next building, that conveyor actually ran with a chain drive remote control, and the logs, we attached them to that. That was a lot of work to get that to work in the water. And they ran through the housing and then came down under the water, back up in the sawmill. So it was a revolving, and it looked like the logs were going. Pretty nifty.
Man,
I remember
about some work.
Yeah, Jake built it. Turk got it into the layout and fitted it all up. All that lumber and stuff belongs to me. And I really enjoyed the logging because it's so easy to do. People say, oh, how do you do it? Well, when you look at most sawmills stuff, it's a disorganized chaos. So sometimes I did chaotic. Sometimes I did, all organized like finished lumber. Here, Jake liked the finished lumber look. So that's what we did. But we were very limited. This was probably the largest layout we ever did, Rob, correct? I believe the other side, didn't we have the boat going under the lift bridge? In the background, there's a lift bridge that another member designed. That was a crazy, oh my goodness. That went up and down, and we had a boat that ran on a Climax truck I installed on it, and it ran back and forth to pretend like the bridge lifted up and down.
So those two elements kind of dominated the display, but you could stand anywhere and see motion, and we tried to build the layout such that you really had to walk around it to see all the elements, right? Each side presented a different kind of experience and set of scenes to appreciate.
We didn't want the carpet on the floor with track laid down.
Yeah.
Not that everybody's got to start somewhere, but here we are. And most of these raised up platforms were pre-built by either Rob's dad, Barry McNew. That's before Kevin Adams. And then we drug all that stuff there for 2 days. We're nuts. We say it.
I remember watching you guys set these up.
What was the program that did the video? You had to have a membership that large scale. I can't remember what online or what it was called.
I think it was.
They did a time lapse video of us building the display, and man, I'll tell you, it was pretty cool.
Yeah, large scale online, right?
Right, large scale online. Now this is a different layout here that it actually Rob's dad designed, and it went up and around under itself, and then down and over.
Had it. It's like two folded 8s on top of each other.
That's the best way to put it. Yes.
To get from the lower to the upper. So that happened at each end of the layout, where it looped around on itself to allow enough distance to get that elevation.
Rob and I both like narrow gauge. So this train here was leading off with my K, his K in the back. And then we had the full maintenance of way train. We should have given a better shot of that, but we had everything in there, including the overpriced flanger from MrPictovid.
It was only like $300 back then. It was that much.
Yeah,
a $300 car that's worth about $110. Scroll on there, Andrew. There you go.
So we when we build these layouts, you get a different perspective standing at normal height, 5 or 6 foot tall, however tall you might be, as opposed to getting down and trying to get a more realistic perspective. So you'll see some of these pictures as Andrew maybe scrolls ahead to where, when we set some of the details, like this balloon, you'll see there's a tram system in the background there that goes up on top of the waterfall from the bottom, right? Each year is the coal ramp. My dad built that, and that was actually
that year we did very little logging. Your dad wanted to do coal, so I was into the ramps, and one of our members, Walter, brought that from Train Lee just for something different to have. It didn't really exist, but all layouts can be whimsical. They can all be different, but our goal was to be eye-catching.
I like that coal ramp. I'd like to have something like that on my layout.
The coal ramp, you guys had it like a point to point, if I remember. That engine went back down and it went back up, and it went back down and went back up.
That's correct. And usually, now that was Rob's dad's. I have one that's a little shorter, but it usually ran with a climax or heist. I believe that's a USA Trains 060 running there.
Yeah, that's
what it looks like.
One.
Right. You can move on to the next one there, Andrew.
Yep. So here's a shot where, we got down and we tried to get the perspective, but when we set the details, we try and set them so that, it works whether you're looking down or you get on the ground and you're actually looking at more realistic perspective, right? So
we're very fortunate, though. I mean, Rob got into that. Jeff and I were always into the details. So when you went, the basic layout was built, and then a few of us nut jobs added our final touches. That's really what happened, because most of the layouts are like, Turk, do you want to build a logging section so it can take half the display? Or do you want a little dinky one and somebody else does coal or somebody else does transition with the yards? That's what we did. This is a picture of Rob's dad, Bob, who's now deceased, and Rob and I at
that's at York.
That is at York, yes.
Yep.
Very nice.
Can't be that old. It's got Western Marin 1309. Well, that would be 7.5 years ago. So I guess it is old.
Surprised you didn't put the year on there every year.
Well, we have put many. Now, something else we did that my best friend Jeff started when we were doing these layouts for the Pennsylvania Home and Garden Show, which is really big. You'll see that. He was standing around waiting for something to do, and he says, I'm going to take these letters. We had somebody make these letters. Well, he started making the letters out of the stones because we have a nearby quarry and we have a place that's not too far from me that does all kinds of landscapes. So I'd get them to either donate or buy the stones. So he made the letters, which became a patented for all of our displays.
Yep.
And then we had somebody, I don't remember who made the letters. So they fit in every display and the plants. And we also have a couple Mennonite members who now also have a nursery, and they are involved, help us out. And they do a lot of the small flowers and plants because, as you know, you got to have everything. So our goal was to try and show all different types of the layout.
And that was always a challenge for the East Coast show. The timing, most nurseries are only just starting to unpack and wake up and get going in March, right? So this part of the country, you don't have a lot of flowers. So having someone who had a nursery and some,
and we want to steal their inventory.
Yeah.
It was like, you break it, you buy it. I remember a couple of these bonsai trees, were $139. We even sold out of the layout a couple of times. We would put out, that Stowers Kiss, somebody goes, you want to buy the tree? We'll take her out. Somebody asked down there about how many hours. Most of the East Coast large scale show was started around 8 to 8:30 in the morning, and we were done by 4 o'clock.
Now we would
Same day.
We would have a solid dozen people working on it.
Yeah, a dozen. Sometimes if they were like the big logging, and I think we had 16. Then we had guys wheelbarrowing in and out. We couldn't bring a bobcat in there, obviously, so wheelbarrowing, carrying mulch, carrying rocks. Like I said, we're grunt workers.
Glutton for punishment.
You got it. It's a shame that we always have to tear it down in 2 days.
Yeah.
Now I believe you're switched. That's
So
Baltimore, Timonium.
So this is Timonium, where we were in the Cow Palace there for 1 year, right? COVID hit us. But this was setting up. They when they moved venues, they wanted us to produce something a little bigger. And so, same process, right? We're on the ground setting up track, and you can kind of walk through this a little bit, Andrew, but you'll see the progression to, you have the platforms. Now you see we've drug in some of the plant material, and we went to a different nursery and borrowed things.
That was the biggest challenge, was will the club members travel? We're friends with the New Hampshire Garden Railway guys. And, they said, we've traveled all over, and enough to take anything away from them. But carrying a module and a few trailers is not this kind of legwork where you have to work with a nursery or somebody. We can't all bring that. Normally we're bringing 4 trailers. That is the club trailer right there. I believe my little trailer, which is a 6x12, was in the background there. And then you're bringing 2 flatbed trailers, to carry this stuff to do it. So
it's a lot of material.
It is. But when you have the landscape designers and we just talk about what we're going to do, I lay a track plan out and boom, they can go at it, and then we can add our final touches. It does turn out beautiful. It's a shame that show died at 5:30 that evening, and because the state of Maryland cut it down. I think that would have been really successful rather than where we have come to now.
Yeah.
And if you can zoom in there, Andrew, a little bit, I want to add something here.
I was there at this show, and I have to say, had it been able to continue to thrive there, I think it would have done really well.
I do too. These zoom in a little more where the waterfall is in front of that. Kevin Adams, who did the design on this, he built that all out of foam, right, Rob?
Yeah, that's foam.
That was all foam glued together and then stain painted to give a really big waterfall feature look.
Yeah, that's like 2 layers almost.
2 layers. Yep. And there's my big station in front.
Yep.
So you'll see most Susquehanna. There's always going to be a log train or coal train with Shays or Heislers or Climaxes, and then a main line. That's kind of become our signature.
You beat me to it, Andrew.
For a change, I beat you to it.
Yep.
And I think that's the last picture I had for
I believe that's
Timonium.
Yep.
Trying to see here.
So
The next one that I had pulled up here was the Harrisburg. Is that the next one you wanted to go to?
Yeah, we can do that one.
That'll be our largest ever done. That's the Pennsylvania Home and Garden Show.
That's in Harrisburg at the Farm Show Complex.
Farm Show Complex where they have it. We just decided to pick. There were 2 back-to-back between 07 and 09. This was one that I designed. I believe we were 60 by 40.
Yeah,
it's probably the largest. And what we did was I would go up and take off work on a Sunday, get things laid out. And then on a Wednesday, I'd have the guys come in. We'd lay all the track down to get an idea. And then on Thursday, into Friday. We had to have it ready Thursday night. Friday morning, it was open. We would do all the landscape work. And this is the nice thing about this show is the show coordinators offered us all the mulch and rocks. So we didn't have to haul any of that. So, we'd say, we want that boulder you're looking at there. And they would bring that in.
So this shows,
tell them about the pond, Rob.
Yeah,
you can tell them how we do
what
that.
You see here, this is how we kind of arrange a pond on the flat surface. So the light wood pieces you see there, they all link together, so you can kind of flex them into any shape you want.
They're 12 to 16 inches, and they're pinned, and we can just
right.
wiggle wobble it any way we need to make a pond.
Right, and then if you step one further, you'll see where we then lay rubber roofing material across that that wood shape.
Right.
Step it down in, and we put a little bit of material. Eventually you'll see mulch and everything on the outside of that.
That is you.
that is me, right? And then obviously fill it with water, and that waterfall feature you see right in front of my head, that's actually a carved foam piece that the club has had for years and years and years. And that feature goes almost every layout we have.
We used to have one that had a fall over. We ran the trains under it. We won't show any of that, but we ran the trains under a waterfall. That was very difficult, to say the least, after a day or two.
Yeah, so here you see where we've put rocks around this pond. This is the same pond you're seeing. The rocks around it, the mulch up against it, and then some plant material between some of the rocks to kind of camouflage it all. And the fact that it's not actually level tends to kind of fall away. You don't get that sense anymore.
Right.
Most of the material, like I said, the club uses live. We do have some foam blocks. In fact, those two laying right there in the bottom right corner of your screen are foam, but majority is real materials. You can move forward now, Andrew.
Right. So you see here we're setting mulch in amongst the track.
You can't really tell, but the left side of the layout is getting almost finished. And now I'm having the guys shovel in. That's Jake that built a huge sawmill. And then that's my best friend, Jeff, on the floor there with another membership. And they're getting it ready so I can go crazy there and fill in. That's what we do. Fill an area, Turk. Fill it up.
I mean, and that's what you start with a pile of mulch that they brought in with the Bobcat, and then, a whole collection of plant material. And, like Turk said, we've been very fortunate to have a number of landscapers that will look at that pile of stuff and say, I think that tree looks good there. Right. And it just comes together.
A lot of our members have been fortunate enough to learn from these people because, most of us say, well, I want to plant a plant, or I want to do this, or I want to do that. We were all got to be better landscapers because of Lisa and Mel.
And so like this shot here is the same perspective you saw earlier where they were putting the mulch down. Right. And you see there's sod along the edge there on the right.
Yep. Jeff laid all the grass.
Yep.
And that's probably the largest sawmill setup I ever built. I credit Legos in early days learning to be able to do things. My grandmother flew back and forth from Germany. I had Legos nobody ever had with some really unique stuff. And I think that gave me the vision to be able to do some of this stuff because, you walk in there, what are you going to do? Well, they're going to give me this size, but this size. Can you make it work? And here we go. And usually that only took about 2 hours to build.
Yeah.
Well, that's the benefit of clubs. You learn from each other. You'll have one person that's great at, at the plants, and then one person that's great at the repairs, and one person that's great at building structures. And you all kind of learn from each other and help each other out.
Well, in Garden Railway in the early days, everybody wanted to learn from everybody back then. It wasn't about the money. It was about the fun.
Yeah.
And we were very fortunate. I I didn't do any logging trains growing up with the little HO stuff or O scale because I had no interest, but this became pretty nifty to do.
Go ahead and roll forward a little bit, Andrew. We'll look at some of the other pictures, different perspectives in this same layout. Right, this is the other side from where the sawmill is. Well, actually, it's all over there on the left, but you see you have this elevated section coming across that pond. But, you see that same little bit of plant material down there around the pond, but we've added a dock. You've got the color of the daffodils and the
There's little cabins down in the corner.
Right. So we just, try and add in some details that, catch your eye, and you don't you got to look a couple times before you see it all.
Everything that we build, like the trestles, they had like threaded inserts in them with metal top caps. You just zoom, zoom, zoom. You could move them anywhere you want on the track, and they could be modified to fit anywhere. So that's an overall view. I don't know if that one's 07 or 08, but similar.
And that predates the stones because there's the letters, in.
Now this one, Andrew, you can enlarge, and I will just make one comment here. If you can make that zoom in a little. Yeah, so the sawmill there, that is a motion sawmill where the finished lumber comes out from the back. If you see to the right, well, I guess I should start from the beginning. The log swinger there is loading onto a platform, and then that goes over to a slider. There's no slip jack in this one, but if you see the stack lumber, it comes out from underneath the bottom, rolls up, and there's a conveyor belt there with a little Bachman guy standing, and the saws ran through a sawmill there. You could load from both sides there. Okay.
Yep.
You can move forward.
Just a little
different perspective. Yep.
But you see all the lumber, like Turk was talking about, the stacked lumber where they would take the scraps and they would just cut them and stack them and glue them. And each one of those stacks was, all glued together. So you could just plop it down, that's 4 pieces, but
we pre-made the first time we did. I said, this is dumb. We're just going to pre-make them. A 4x4 is about a 1/2 by 1/2 inch. A 2x4 is going to be a 1/2 by like an 1/8. And that's what we did. And from there on out, it was easy when I had studied the books for logging. Now this, Rob can tell you about the barn.
I like that barn.
Yeah, this is a barn my dad kind of scratch built. And then we have a cousin who's paints fire trucks in Northeast Pennsylvania. And he had him paint that mail pouch on there. So that's all hand lettered. But the barn has a complete interior, and we laid sod around it, and it just kind of the way it got a little bit walked on here and there, it just kind of set it off nicely.
Yeah,
and that was about what, 3 by 3 feet? Pretty large.
Yeah, it's definitely like a 1/24th scale, so it's a little bigger than typical, but it sets things off nicely.
Before you switch, Andrew, zoom in on that where the church is. And we usually do like a housing development or somewhere where people lived on the other side. If you look there, we got the graveyard right next to the church. And we used to have little, you can't really see it there. I didn't think of that, but we had like members' names that were in the club for a long time. They weren't deceased, but we'd put it up there, and something neat to catch the eye. It's different.
Absolutely. Hey, there's Ronald. I want to say Wenger, right?
Yep. Ron was the first one that did all the organizing of us and gave us heck if we didn't have our frequencies right for train engineers. By the way, all these train layouts for 90% were all DC powered. Because we had an aging group, we ran mostly all regular power supplies, sometimes with remote train engineers, but you could bring a battery train. A few of us did and ran it, Okay, Andrew, you can move forward. That's just a locomotive hangar where you're disassembling a climax. And I saw that somewhere in West Virginia photo. I thought, that'll be neat to build. And the gears on top are out of old VCRs that when we threw them away from my old stereo shop, you just take stuff and you can put it together and no one's going to know the better. The shade,
I like that. That's a cool scene.
The shade with the piston racks, people would break the coupling units. So I was like, well, we'll use them and just lay the parts around there, defective motor blocks. If everybody owned a first generation Shay and they sent them back even into the second generation, there was plenty of motor blocks. So I'd grab a few and just give them a little bit of weathering and throw them in there. And that's I believe that's the same as the first shot.
Yeah, it's pretty similar.
Okay, Andrew, you can move forward again. Or is that all of them, sir?
Are you talking, Andrew? Because we can't hear you.
Sorry, got myself muted again. That's the last one I have for.
Okay, that's fine.
For that one, I think what we have left is Rocky Ridge now, right?
Yes,
right.
sir.
Yeah, and so
Okay.
that Rocky Ridge is one of the shows, and this presents a different challenge in the sense that we are inside here. We're again working on the floor, but the difference here is we're not building something that has to last a weekend. We have to last a month.
Well,
right?
more than that, 32 to 37 days, depending on how Thanksgiving falls.
Right.
And I'll interrupt Rob here because I took over this from the Bowl family. When this started, it's a mini Hershey Park Christmas walkthrough with outdoor lights. They started with a couple 100,000. Now they're up to almost 1 million. But the trains had like 2 locomotive LGBs that ran around. Somebody came in at 6 o'clock in the evening, turned them on. The building was non-insulated. These are nothing but pavilions, and they threw sheet metal around them. After a few years of that, and we got sick of that, and they wanted to upgrade. It took a little bit of work and convincing, but we finally got some insulation in the building because it was damn cold in there, working from 6 to 9 from Black Friday till New Year's Eve every night. And they would turn the heat on 30 minutes before, and it's nothing but the little radiated propane. So you can, on a good night, we were praying for 55 degrees. Plus, we have an outdoor layout that goes outside the far door there just to entice people while they're waiting in line. This just gives you an idea. We upgraded the platforms, got off the floor so we could do more work. We really didn't show the first generation of the layout. It was pretty simple, just a basic loop, a reversing, and maybe one that went around a little pond. When I took over, that Lisa didn't want to do it, and the York guys didn't want to do it anymore. I said, well, this is something that I think could really put the club on the map because membership had been declining, and they used to get 30,000 people. Now we hit 48 to 52,000 people that come through there.
So how many members do you have in your club today? Still 60?
No, I think we're down to maybe 35,
32, I think we have.
Yeah.
Okay.
And out of that, and it's not that like most clubs where, you always say you got a solid 20 or 30% that work. In our case, our guys, we have guys in their 80s still helping, but it is dwindling that we could not produce. We would love to go to the Northeast Large Scale Show, and we've been invited, but that's a trek to make that all work up there for an aging membership. Plus, we'd all be taking off work for darn near a week to haul everything and do it. So it's
when you're talking setting modules up is one thing, but what you guys are building is definitely not that setting modules up is easy. I don't want to discount that.
Oh, we get on the New Hampshire guys all the time.
But
we get on the New Hampshire and the Connecticut guys and say, you guys got it made. You can stop and have a drink, argue, figure out a wiring harness. Here we go. Start from scratch and pray it's going to work. And you got how many people putting track together? That's the number one problem when you have all kinds of members clamping and each one's got its own strength. You have to get through it all. You can move forward. This is just a picture of the trailer with our racks inside.
So this is showing the outside part. Those tracks go through the wall of the building. It's a simple elongated loop, but the idea is when it's really busy, people stack up outside the building so they get a little bit of chance to see a train, and it transitions from inside to outside all the time, right? So we put down platforms again. The Park Service puts these down for us.
There are 4 4x8s that are laid out there, and then we just shim it up and make it work. LGB moguls, they can take the snow, the rain, and everything. You can move forward, Andrew. That's fine.
Now, we are fortunate now that a number of our members, our wives, also participate in this, not just decorating trees, but, they're very instrumental in putting all the details out that you'll see in some of the later pictures. Some of these scenes get very involved, and this being a Christmas display, we do go for a lot of whimsical stuff, right? Every year there's a Where's Waldo, for example. The Minions are out there from stuff. We have an amusement park, right? You start to see there in the middle there where we're starting to set up, so.
I did forget to mention whenever when our club got full stream with a set of officers and everything, that's the first thing I said was, I've got my best friend's wife. We've got Lisa. We got to get more ladies involved. Nothing against O scale guys or HO, but it's a male dominated hobby. We all were trained nerds at one time in our life. We say that, but our club is very girlfriend, kid, and wife. I mean, we usually average it on most of the displays, even those big Harrisburg ones. We'd have 6 or 8 women there with us. and not just to make a pot of soup to work. They did display. So that was kind of nice. And we really involved that, like Rob's wife. I got her really involved in the Rocky Ridge display.
There you go, Andrew. You need to add a Club Finder to your webpage.
It's coerced blackmail. I'll not lie about it.
That's actually something that I have been working on, Nico, and you actually tracking down a lot of I found a lot of links for stuff. There's a lot of clubs that they don't have sites anymore. They moved to Facebook or
yep.
There's one club I tracked down, and I think I found one of the last few remaining members, and they thanked me for reaching out to them. They said, but we all got too old, and we just couldn't do it anymore, unfortunately.
Yep.
Well, this layout is nice because we go a little before 2 weeks. Rob takes a couple of the guys up there on a Friday or a Monday and puts all those platforms together. His dad, myself, Barry, we all built the park wouldn't do it. And we were tired of being on the floor. Plus, you can't work it's cold. You can't fasten things down. So we got off the floor and built the platforms. So they get that all linked up. And then when the group comes in around 8:30, 9 o'clock, usually 2 weeks before Thanksgiving, it's usually a comfortable 22 to 35 degrees. And we run turbo kerosene heaters and we go at it, but it is a big fundraiser for the club. We do very well. The Park Service does give us a big donation, and we also do donation cars, which is people love to throw money at train cars. So that's neat. This is the finished outdoor, just one of the different scenes.
Hey, do we want to do one of the giveaways considering we're already past the 8 o'clock hour?
Yeah, I was just waiting for a good point. I didn't want to run them off from what they were talking about there.
Well, we're talking about Christmas here. We got Christmas going.
Yeah.
Might as well give something away.
There we go. I know you guys have something to give away. We're going to save that for the end.
Okay.
I do have a couple of things from our sponsor, Split Jaw, that he told us that we were able to give away this evening. Let me see here. I can switch here real quick. So what we have from Split Jaw is we have a 12-pack of their code 332 direct to rail clamps.
Standard.
And let me see here. All you have to do, if you would like to win those in the live chat, is enter hashtag LSL for large scale live into the chat, and you will automatically be entered. And we'll go ahead and let you guys keep going on this while we collect the entries on that, because it'll probably take people a few minutes to oh boy, they're all coming in now.
Yeah, there you go. We're off and running.
All right. So
we couldn't do our layouts without them. We have used LGB, we've used every type of connector, and we were one of the first to really invest in that because a lot of our stuff got walked on. And you got to have good track, you got to have it clamped down good. So that was really nice. If you back up there, the little Thomas scene, our one of our members, Kevin and Melanie Adams, she is a cake designer. And so she offered to build these for us for the club, and Kevin, who's a master carpenter, built the boxes. So that was a gift. It's a dog bone 5-foot figure 8, and we already had the Thomas stuff. So then we started making the Christmas village, with Candy Cane Lane and everything, and it's awesome. It really is nicely done.
Looks good.
Yep. That gives you a little more perspective. You have Thomas. Again, we have the main outside loop that runs around the entire layout, and then these smaller features within it. I think we have 7 trains running.
7 trains.
7 train loops, and 2 back and forths, point to point, running at all times in the layout.
If you can zoom in a little bit, Andrew, I can really give a better description. Yeah, that's fine there. So there's an LGB that runs around the Christmas tree, your standard American stance with a powered tender and a couple cars and stuff. The outside loop is members. We normally run USAF units because they're the most durable and reliable. We had run Aristo back in the day, but Turk needs to have motor blocks if there's an accident or someone's kid flies in the layout, which does happen all the time. And then the inner loop usually is a LGB whether it be the modern trolley or the Euros. They run back and forth. And then we make a mini 2-foot loop, which is like the Heartland used to have with the barrel, only pre-bent. And depends on the year. We have a monster roller coaster, which is not in this one. We did a little different this year. That's about 8 feet long. It goes in there, and the trains run around that as well. And we usually use like a little Heartland Mack engine or a little LGB rail truck. Then you have the LGB moguls running outside as well. So when everybody says they're having trouble keeping control of trains, try doing that on an evening when there's 2,000 to 3,000 people in your building.
Just so everybody knows, it's hashtag LSL, not LSOL. We're not large scale online. We're large scale live.
There you go. That's right. They're going.
But funny enough, our domain name actually used to be owned by them years ago.
Oh, okay.
Large scale live?
Yes.
Oh.
No. Yeah.
Large scale.
Well, no.
Right?
Let's not get confused on that. LargeScaleTrains.com was owned by Large Scale Online years ago, but at some point they gave up the domain.
You can move forward now, Andrew.
Sort of thing.
And I did add a picture in it. Well, you can see the
Okay.
roller coaster. So in this picture, you see a big one of the Lionel Ferris wheels in the front, but behind there, where you see all the multicolored lights, that's a miniature version of the Cyclone
Is
roller.
that inside or outside?
That's all inside.
That's all inside.
Did
There's
you bring
guys.
leaves inside? Is that what I'm looking at?
I'm sorry, what's that again?
Did you bring leaves inside? Is that what I'm looking at?
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah, there's
Man,
leaves,
you talk about dedication.
pine needles.
We
you know.
gather up red leaves, yellow maple, grind up, stone dust, the whole deal, And
They want to pretend they're outside.
Well, that's the idea, right? It's the garden railroad inside to make it look like you're outside.
Right.
And like in this photo, that's one of my mallets running the train there. There's different nights we run. If you zoom in, you will see in the far back on a trestle right there. Yeah, where you're putting your mouse at. We have a better shot of that.
That's one of our back and forths.
Oh, okay.
With everyone's favorite character,
Olaf.
Olaf. He runs back and forth and hides around the backside of the Christmas tree and comes out.
Sweet.
Okay, you can zoom forward again there. I think that's just a different angle. Yeah, that's got a K28 in there running now. Is that this year's? Because the houses look lit.
Yeah, we did a little bit more this year. Lighting with the houses in the background there, you'll see that same waterfall that we have in almost every display. The trick we have to do, because this building, as Turk was saying, is not heated except for when we're there showing, we have to run RV antifreeze in the water because it'll freeze otherwise, right? So it has a little bit of a pinkish hue.
We could even go more detailed stuff, but you have to remember it's nothing against any other train manufacturers, but you have to remember if they're starting these trains up and it's 12 to 15 degrees up there in the mountains, it's rough. So, nothing beats LGB motor blocks to tolerate that. Steam engines are kind of a sideline. I love them. I'm very biased for them. We do have two that we run. One's a custom made with a mallet motor block, but most of the time we're running GP38s or F3s or 7s double headed. That way we don't have to worry about, getting everything warmed up and going.
So there's the roller coaster.
There you can see the roller coaster with the lights.
And our favorite snowplow.
Yeah. Somebody loves to put the plow on the front.
That's money.
I have that plow here somewhere, just the plow, but I do not have the car that goes to it.
Okay. Yeah. So that plow car and it back in the train, you'll see gondolas. That's where we collect the majority of our donations, right? It rolls around and people will drop coins or occasionally paper money in there. And, that's been a good support for us over the course of 35 days.
Have you ever had people derail the train dropping money on the track or?
Oh yeah.
That would be the understatement.
It happens.
I'll give you a quick rundown. The wooden fence there, the park wanted rid of. We said, heck no, because we can power screw the heck out of that to our platforms. They gave us a metal fence that was adjustable one year. The leaves fell out. I mean, this year we did. I wish we'd had a picture of it, but some parent had a hold of the kid by their ankles while they're in the layout. I mean, we all know how things work nowadays. So it can be a little bit crazy. But if you only get 2 derailments a night, you've done wonderful.
Yeah.
And a lot of these rides here, some of this is Lemax, and I know the one Lionel that he was talking about. If you zoom in there, Andrew, I can't think of the name of the place.
Coaster Dynamax?
Yeah, Coaster Dynamax makes these rides, and they're like professional. The gondola ride, the swing ride,
The roller coasters.
and they're down by, where is it? God, I can't
I
think.
was going to say, before we go to the next
They're about 15 minutes from Luray Caverns. We met them at the TCA show in York, the big O scale. And they brought these rides, and we were like enamored with it. And Rob's dad, in his earlier days, worked for an amusement company, right?
Yep.
Building
Roller coasters. Yeah.
skee ball, all kinds of stuff. So he splurged for the club to buy that coaster. And oh my gosh, I think we finally rebuilt after 13,000 loops on it. And
So we figured that the time that the park is open and how long it takes the coaster to actually cycle once around there, that over the course of 30 or 35 days, it would run 13,000 iterations.
and it ran pretty reliable for the first 5 years, and then we had to get it retracked. So would you like us to stop, Andrew, and you can do your giveaway?
I was going to say, before we go to the next picture, I'll toggle over to that so that we can move on. And because, like I said, we got your guys' giveaway at the end, and I got one other one for Split Jaw after this.
I'm surprised there wasn't 50 questions about the rides.
I mean, you guys have been doing a pretty good job of moving along and explaining stuff as you go. I mean, I usually have a few questions, and I've just been kind of blown away with what you guys have been doing.
I think a lot of it is there's pictures, and people are like studying the pictures instead of.
And I think you got a really good point on that one there. Okay, so again, the giveaway was for a 12 count of the code 332 direct to rail split jaw clamps. Now,
Yes.
one thing I want to point out, because I had questions on this last time, is when I do the giveaway, you'll see, it scrolls around on the screen. Pretty simply, that is an animation. The actual giveaway, I use the tool that StreamYard provides me that does a random drawing in the background. What you see on the screen is an animation. Like right now, there's almost 100. Well, now there is 100 people watching. For the amount of time that has to scroll around to show all 100 people, or 55, whatever, and it looks like 58 entered, we'd be sitting here watching it roll around forever. So if you did put the hashtag in and you don't see your name roll by, it doesn't mean you're not in the drawing. It's just an animation that StreamYard provides to put up on the screen. So I just wanted to get that out. Does that sound understandable, Nico?
Yes.
Okay. So I did check with them last time after I had questions, and that is the answer that I got. So with that said, let's see who's going to win. We know it's not going to be Nico because he gets robbed.
Exactly. Every time.
Every time. All right. Let's see. Oop, I saw Taya scroll by. She's not going to win now because I said her name. Mikey 45013. Well, Mikey, I'm pretty sure I know who you are. I get confused by your YouTube name at times. But send me your info you have my contact info, but it's you can send to info@largescaletrains.com if you don't, and I will get your info forwarded off to Splitjaw so that he will send you your clamps. Congratulations again.
Thank you. Thank you to our sponsor for donating those.
Let's see, what do you thank him for? You don't win anything.
That's for donating them, so somebody else won them.
All right. So we'll go back to your pictures. And of course, everybody, don't run away because we do have 2 other giveaways after this.
Well, I don't know if you have time for 2 other giveaways.
We'll make it work. Don't worry.
We're already at 8:30, so you better start the next one now if you want to give 2 more away.
Well, I'm working on that. They can go back on their photos.
Okay.
Rob, I'll let Rob tell about this. This was a special anniversary display, and I would zoom in a little bit on that, Andrew, if you could, so you could see what was done there.
So the park came to us for this year's show, that we just finished back in December, and said, "Hey, this is our 40th anniversary. Can you create a couple different scenes that we maybe not have provided before?" So this one is a small scene that is intended to be a miniature version of what the rest of the park looks like, right? A lot of lights, character displays, a walkway. Do you see Clifford, the big red dog that's in there? There's a lit up Christmas tree. There's a lot of stuff like that spent some time and built this display purposely for this 40th anniversary. In one of the earlier pictures, you saw the Hogwarts Lego castle that we also had in the layout for the duration. And I have the lighting kit for that. So that was all lit up. So those are some of the new features we added this year. I talked earlier about how we lit a bunch more of the houses than we typically do. And we used a slightly different type of simulated snow this year that seemed to hang around a little better than it has in previous years. And so that all of those elements kind of, provided a slightly different look and feel this year. And thankfully the Park Service agreed and they were happy with it. So, we've had another successful year, financially and in terms of providing a solid display.
You did not put any pictures of the park at all?
No, there is one in the group. You'll see.
Basically,
right at the end.
Here is his wife and my wife's dressed up as Santa's helpers so that you can win the train, which luckily for us, I've been able to get Rich to donate from Bachman either a Thomas set or a 10-wheeler set or a Christmas set. So we do that at $1 raffle, and that goes pretty well each year. And Rob has a little display there that shows all the different scales of trains from Z, N, H, O,
and
O,
G,
and G right there so people can get an idea and look at it. That's what that is.
Right. And a lot of people will look at that and say, "Hey, I had HO as a kid." Well, it gives you a sense of, since it's the same car in the display at different scales, how big the stuff is. This is showing our major repair elf working on an engine during one of the shows, or we were up there to monitor that night. And
I'm always on something, repairing or fixing, or they're
I'm
getting.
gonna say they let you fix stuff. I'm just kidding.
yeah,
I have hundreds.
Yep.
But we didn't really explain, like Rocky Ridge Christmas Magic is owned by the county parks. And like I said, it's like a miniature Hershey Park with lights. There's no rides, but you have paths are lit up to music. Everything is all simulated together, and each building has something different to offer. They haven't done Santa Claus in a couple of years since COVID, but they have like a whole, what would you call that? Like a mock layout of like you're setting in the woods with fake animals and stuff, and you get your picture taken there. Then the scouts are selling like hot chocolate and cookies and stuff. So you can get warm in each building, but it is walking all over, and it is beautiful, and it's all paved.
Right. So that shows basically what the outside part of the show looks like that you're walking through. And
that's the path to our door, I believe, to enter. I believe it is.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yep. So you walk all through. You're out there maybe 2 hours. But I think our highest attendance was last year at 52,000. This year was a little under.
Wow.
But you don't go for the trains. We are the number one draw. We'll brag it, but still we didn't get there without some work, but it's still cool to see all the lights and stuff and then come through there. And you can always go to Brickers and get some homemade French fries too, if you don't want anything else.
And I think that's the last picture that was in that folder.
Okay.
And I will use that as a segue to bring up this other giveaway that we have from our sponsor Splitjaw real quick. Let's see. So the other item that he has is a pair of his Lugzilla power feeders. I think you could probably run a lot more power to your track than you should with those, but
yeah,
so be conservative. Don't wire your mains into your track or anything, but they are definitely a heavy duty made set of power connectors. And just like before, if you'd like to enter the giveaway, You just want to put hashtag LSL for large scale live in the chat. And
I'll
you will
translate for everybody. That's hashtag LSL.
Did I say that wrong?
No,
Oh, okay.
just translating.
You had me worried there for a minute. And I don't know about Crazy Train's comment here. Where the heck did he go? Do not do what Crazy Train says. Do not hook your welder to the track, unless you want Nico and Turk to be trying to fix your stuff.
So somebody had a question of where that was that you guys set up that.
So that is Rocky Ridge County Park in York County, Pennsylvania. It's just to the east of downtown York, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
It's about 12 minutes from where the East Coast large scale shows, headed towards Lancaster.
So west of York, I guess that is, right?
No,
No,
it's
east
Sorry.
of York. Yep, east of York.
the other right.
The other right. There you go.
I say don't start on the other right. I had a whole conversation before this show that was like the Abbott and Costello routine of who's on first. I spent 15 minutes and I'm like, what did I just talk about?
So what's the next topic we're going to discuss?
Well, I believe you guys had some tips and whatnot that you were planning on sharing. If I'm not skipping something here on you've picked up over the years.
I think we've covered it, yes. And I was going to do some quick tips. We're not going to get into everything, but I figured we could pick some trains that are popular that everybody's had and give them some ideas of what we've learned through the years of working on the trains. So okay. I'm going to get up here. I'll grab something here. I'll turn that. And we'll, as you can imagine, when you're getting thousands of hours, the trains are going to break. So it's a debate between repair, rebuild, replace.
Yep.
Okay, so Rob's going to grab a 280 from Bachman. Most people are familiar with this. Can you guys see it all right, or do we need to put more light?
Very good.
No, I think it's good.
Okay, so anybody that's owned one of these knows that it had a smaller Bachman motor similar to the 10-wheeler, and the main third driver, the gear would crack, which is
plastic.
Our favorite piece here, Delron plastic, right? Okay. That wasn't the only problem with these engines, but that was the first main problem. So if you got another gear from Bachman, the odds are you were going to, can you see that crack there? You guys can see that. That's what you're going to get. So between that, grab that bag of gears, okay, and the internal guts of the motor assembly, which had transfer gears, you were basically rebuilding 5 sets of gears into this engine, which Bachman carried all those. They never really made the pieces as a one-piece unit, but they did if you sent your locomotive in. Finally, by the grace of God, we have the brass gear. Okay. In the meantime, I believe that was, it's Jerry Yerriman. People know him from up north. Jerry makes a lot of custom gears for all types of locomotives. This is a Bachman part you can buy to upgrade your locomotive. Okay.
Yeah, about $12.
We highly recommend that. I want to grab a motor block section here to show. Where the heck did I put it here? Maybe I left it downstairs and I screwed up. I thought I had one here.
I realized I looked away for a minute there. I'm like, where'd they go?
Sorry. We got lots.
Serious when the medical gloves go on. Yeah, that is very true. On, of course, Larry Otis.
Well, I thought for sure I got enough Aristo and USA in here to start a whole parade. I guess I did not bring up the whole motor block assembly, which I thought we did. So we won't be able to show you that. But Bachman does make an assembly with the motor in it, just like if you have a 10-wheeler. Which I'll grab that. Maybe it's in this box. Rob might be over here.
That's the gentleman's name who makes the gears.
What is that, Nico?
Somebody, Lawrence Otis, Big Larry Otis posted
Giro.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Giro. It goes by Jerry, but that's right, Giro. He does make, I mean, we get a lot of our parts from Bachman, but still, he makes upgrades of brass for a lot, but not all. Some of them are still Delron. So basically, this is what you can get where everything is pre-done for you with the motor inside. One of the first problems that Bachman had with the 280s wasn't really the drive gear. The problem they had was the screws that hold the motor to this whole encasement transmission of gears, the screws would come loose and then it would tear out that first main idler gear and then you were done. Well, they didn't really have these blocks. So along the line of service guys, we were able to get these, which made the job quicker to redo, but you still had the main drive with a plastic gear. This particular one is out of a 440. The 260, the 440, and the 280 use the exact same similar setup, other than the axles are longer, as I showed you in the first picture with the brass axle. Here is another picture of like a 440 or 260 axle. This was not offered in brass by Bachman unless you bought the newer upgrades that just came out 4 years ago. So as of now, you're still stuck with putting a plastic gear on unless you get Jerry to make you one. So, but anyway, I wanted to at least tell people that's one of the problems with those, and that's what we have to do to fix. You always want to check the gearboxes that they're mounted tight to the motor. We used to always kind of curse Aristocraft for using so much on their steam engine wheels, and now here we're asking Bachman to put a little bit on so they'll stay tighter and it avoids the issue of the gear destruction.
thread lock, you mean, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I was going to say, you know, it kind of
Definitely blue, not red.
yeah, that's what I was going to say. Yeah, don't put the wrong stuff on there.
That is correct. Now we'll jump forward here. Like I said, there's all types of things. I'm just going to do some quick stuff here. Everybody's owned a 10-wheeler, right? Somewhere along the line, okay? From the old style mechanism to one of 7 that they make now, 8, okay? The upgrade mechanisms, what that came to be durable, were known as Generation 6, and they had the gear set up, but if you look really closely in there, you can see even that one's cracked. These were nice, though, in the fact that you had a one-piece design with a pin that would go through it. And even if you bought one of the mechanisms, which sold anywhere from as little as $40, I think they're now like $79, $89 for a whole 10-wheeler bottom, that you could get this part and put it in without having to do all the gears individually and separate. So that's a popular thing to do. Bachman is getting away from that, though. Now they're really pushing everybody just to buy a mechanism. Here. And, you know, we keep these around in stock because we use a lot. Now, these are the upgrade anniversary with all metal side rods. And for the cost, you know, back in the day when motors were $12 and gears were like $1 or $3, it was fine. But nowadays, in the past, you know, 5 to 6 years where motors are $25, $30, these mechanisms are almost invaluable. Are they bulletproof? No, but considering you get the front floppy truck that always breaks with the wiring, and you get all metal side rods and upgraded gear with a better can motor for anywhere from $69 to $79. It's a fantastic deal. You can also upgrade your old locomotive. You got one of those old B&Os or Pennsylvanians. It takes a little bit of trimming with a Dremel tool, but you've made a locomotive that probably all of us have had somewhere along the line to a better engine.
Yeah, if you take the starter sets and upgrade them.
Yes, that is correct. And even the Bachman Pluses through the first, 25 years. Now, of course, the new mechanism, which is not available separately yet, hopefully it will be for the newest engine, but you're talking $600 and some now for the 10-wheeler, has all brass gears in it. Very similar design, only the inside is different. I didn't bring that to open up and show because Nico's telling me I'm never going to make it through all this, and I'm going to prove him wrong.
Well, I'm gonna pause you real quick before the next thing so I can do the drawing for this. But I got to tell you what, Turk, you've been doing an amazing job going through this. I need to take notes off of you.
He moves along, Andrew. He moves.
He moves.
Not our first rodeo to speak.
All right. So everybody, again, this giveaway is for the one set of Lugzilla power clamps from Splitjaw. Let me switch to the giveaway screen, and we will see who's going to win.
And who's going to weld with them?
And who's going to, well, if Crazy Train gets them, I want to see video. Well, you know what? I want to say that Crazy Train would probably do it. He'd probably hook the welder to the track and put an old Bachmann 10-wheeler on there.
Well, you put those on 2 tracks with your welder and then put the 2 tracks together and you'll weld a joint. You don't need the row clamps.
Or you can hook up a 300-watt amplifier for a car to run it.
And I'm pretty sure the comment on great information is not on hooking your welder to the track. So
Let's hope
I'm glad you're enjoying the info that's getting out there tonight. Who's that in the background?
I think they're talking about Turk. Do you have a dog behind you or a cat, something?
We have Fred behind us. Where is
He's
Fred?
back over here.
Oh, he's back. Does anybody want to see Fred? We can bring him up here. Come here, Fred. Get up here, you slacker.
All right. Let's see. I'm guessing Fred's not going to win.
He's
Hey, John Molesworth is our winner.
There's Fred.
Hi,
Hey,
Fred.
Fred.
Sorry, Fred, you did not win. Mr. John Molesworth, I don't know if you have my contact info or not, but if you just want to shoot me an email, info@largescaletrains.com, or actually we might be friends on Facebook now that I think about it. So whichever way you want to send me your info, I just need your mailing address and your email to send off to David so that he can get that off to you. So congratulations again, John.
You have 13 minutes. You going to start the next one now?
I'm going to start it here in just a couple of minutes. So don't worry. I'm moving along. I was prepared for you tonight. So
Is that going to be our giveaway then?
that's going to be your giveaway. Yeah, that'll be yours. And I'll get to that in a moment here. I'll let you guys continue on with what you were going through there. So don't run away, everybody. There is another giveaway coming up.
Okay. All right. So now we'll move forward to Nico's favorite piece. Aristo motor blocks, FA, RS3s, little critters, U25s, first generation silver wheels that deplate, outside pickups from the shaft. They wear into the little bushings and they wear out. These motor blocks were actually not that bad if they wouldn't have wore through the bushings. They had a plastic universal joint inside that was their weak point. So there were several generations of these, and I can show different styles here of a thin wheeled one. Okay, now this is an upgrade that has the ball bearing, which they went to, and they had 2 different style ball bearings. Okay, then we can show the larger one, which Aristo made these as well as Bachmann. This is what you'd be getting nowadays if you bought the Bachmann motor block or the egg liner. Okay,
I know you have a lot of those egg liners, Turk.
Oh God, please don't say it. You told me I wasn't allowed to curse on the show, so don't get. They are fun for the kids, though. So these motor blocks were not without issues. Okay, they were a great design. The biggest problem we had with those was these wee little bushings. Okay, those bushings ran on a gear. Okay, and aristo-craft made the gear separate and both axles independent. They didn't sell them all together right away. If you look closely here, I'll bring it up there. You can see where it, God, my big finger's in the way. You can see where it's channeled grooves through it. So basically what has happened, and this isn't from like the Susquehanna Valley Garden Railroaders running this. This is basically regular running where it basically takes and just chews the axle to pieces. So here we've got a good design, but the bearings were the weak link.
Cheap bearings.
Yep. Yeah. Unfortunately, Mr. Polk, he went with the Chinese. You can buy better ones now. But, for a long time, this packet here was individual that couldn't be got anywhere. I bought what I assume was the last batch from Navin, but my friend Nico over there managed to scarf some up and resupply Turk. And if you need these, he has them. I'm probably the only person in the world that's got them. So what we've done is you can rebuild the train with the axle, or you can buy the Bachmann motor block, which you're going to pay $80 to $90 for, and you have to do a rewire. Unfortunately, Bachmann changed the wiring from the 2-pin to 2-pin each to a 4-pin connector. And our biggest issue is if you get the new ones, even the Bachmann ones, which I've done for some commercial layouts, they have chewed through the axle. So do you buy better bearings? Yes. and the mallet is the same way. So you've got a 6x10x3 for the mallet. You have a 6x10x2.5 for the regular FAs. And the mallet and the Mikados aren't as bad.
So just for anybody that doesn't know, he's giving you the bearing size.
That is the bearing size to replace it. And you can buy them anywhere. They really were an RC product for a long time, and the Japanese ones are better. I tell everybody, and Nico probably agree, you buy any locomotive nowadays, you're a fool if you don't open it up and lubricate it. I don't care if it's a great LGB stance or a mogul. This stuff's been setting for a long time. The grease is not what we've had in the past 5 to 8 years of synthetics that's better. And when you chew it up, it's not something you send in and get fixed for $25 to $30 anymore. Nope. You know, and so I tell people, you know, if it runs perfect, you should still check it out. I'm not trying to pitch to do work on any of my part. I'm fixing 150 locomotives a year, and our stash is getting low and slow because we don't have it. As for the other part of the motor block, which is the swivel part, that is the exact same design inside with brass tabs that go around the little bearing, which I can hold up and show you guys there. And they don't chew out as bad, but it will eat your block to pieces. So we tell everybody, unfortunately, you have to unscrew them from the side of the connector, which is pretty easy. Everybody knows they're held on with 2 screws. I'll give a punch for Greg Ellisman. He does a wonderful job online to talk about all the different Aristo stuff if you want to learn to do it yourself. But that's your options to fix, and that's a problem with all the locomotives. For the average user, it won't be an issue, but you start running 3-4 hours and doing heavy duty, or take it down to your local library for a Christmas layout or a bank, you're going to find you're going to be in this situation. So the key is lubrication, and unfortunately you have to take them apart. All right, can I move?
I'm going to throw up real quick on here what your guys' giveaway is going to be, so we can start collecting some. Do
you want me to hold it up here, Andrew?
Oh, do you actually have it there? Okay. As I say, I had a couple of pictures you had sent me, but that works too.
You know, Turk Russell's prepared.
There we go.
You've got an LGB shorty tank car. And for you guys that aren't into the foreign stuff, we don't use that much, but you can easily custom paint it and make it into a neat piece for beside a station or a logging water car, whatever you need. So that's what we'll be giving tonight.
Wonderful. Well, for those of you that would like to, I see Crazy Train's going crazy because it's a red box already. So all you got to do again is hashtag LSL in the chat, and we'll let Nico translate that.
It's LSL.
How's that spelled again, Nico?
It's LSL.
And
hashtag LSL.
It scrolled past me here real quick. Where did it go? Someone asked a question.
Okay.
Someone asked, what is the current lubricant of choice? I know I have mine, but I'll let you guys answer.
LaBelle is really good. They're the lubricant of choice for us. Believe it or not, Bachman's red heavy duty oil, which I don't really consider it heavy duty, it's a synthetic. That's our favorite, especially for log train guys and stuff. A couple dabs, that works good. The regular LaBelle grease, even some of the Lionel and MTH grease will work fine on the gears. We have a much more modern choice of lubricants than what we used to. Excel also makes a pack, but I believe it's a LaBelle repacked. I'm not sure. I don't know. Nico, do you agree on that or not?
I'm not sure. I don't use that. I use what Andrew uses.
What do you guys recommend?
We use the super lube that they actually sell at Harbor Freight, which I think
LSL. LSL, not SOL.
Right.
That's what happens when you don't lubricate.
Now you guys bring up super lube, and I should have brought that up. I bet you guys don't know what that was invented for. That was the choice of ice cream machines for lubricant. My buddy owned a Golden Corral. We had 2 big G-scale loops I took care of, and super lube was used for all the ice cream machines. So that does work well, and it's a lot less expensive. You get plenty of it. But for needle oilers, I really like the Bachman red and their light oil. I like the LaBelle too for theirs. Okay?
Yeah, the needle ones, I use those, but when I'm greasing like the gearboxes, I use the other one.
I totally agree with that. That's a good choice.
And just for the record, there'll be no pulling Larry Otis's finger tonight.
We have one more to go if you want to do it yet.
Yeah, go ahead. You got 5 minutes.
Well, Heath, if you're not,
I'm going to make it, and you're going to be buying dinner, Nico, because I told you I was going to make it.
I was going to say real quick, my friend Heath popped in. He said he just got here. He's not sure why everyone's saying hashtag LSL.
Okay.
Heath, if you would like to win a Shorty tank car, an LGB, it's hashtag LSL.
There
you go.
There we go. So we'll get right back to what you're doing there.
Okay, we're going to talk about USA. They probably make the most durable gearbox other than the gear, which is the number one problem. There should be a GP38 or something else in there, Rob. This is an S4 NW2 motor block. One of my favorites. They can be used to upgrade your old Bachmann trolley if you don't want to deal with their stuff. This makes a great unit for anything, and they're very reasonable. So I'll show the two-part numbers here. I thought we had a no, we don't have it, but here's USA Trains. I don't know. Can you guys see that, or am I not doing that right?
22-12 motor truck and 22-115 motor truck.
Yeah, it's reversed. That's right. So these are for the Jeep 38, the Jeep 9s. I'm not going to get into the wide cabs on theirs, but anyway, they're very popular. And as Nico will tell you, the number one problem is what, Nico?
Split gears.
And they don't split the teeth. They split where they go on the actual axle, which is crazy. A couple friends of mine in engineering had made brass collars to fix this because the gear's still good. It's just the wheel that comes off. Luckily,
I do that all the time for customers.
Right. Well, and they're not that unaffordable from USA. We should have them here. Yep, we got a pack of them here. We can show, and you can get a pack of those, and they're actually pretty reasonable. You're talking less than $30 for a pair to put in the locomotives, other for NW2, Jeep 39, whatever you have to use or whatever. And have they improved upon them, Nico?
I can't say yes. I can't say no. I don't know.
That's a great answer. I would agree with that. But we tell everybody, don't over lubricate that gear. Make sure you have a little bit of the grease on the teeth only. If you take the motor block lid apart, which is very easy to do, always take a Q-tip, wipe it off. And what's funny about this is we don't have the problems like we did with Aristo and the Bachmann. Their little brass ferrule, which is not a bearing, it's just a ferrule as a guide to fit in. They rarely chew through a locomotive's axle, so you don't have to worry about that. Again, lubricating both motor shafts at each end is a good idea, and then the grease on the main gear, and then a little bit on the pickups and your skid shoes, which there's debates on that. We love them, but we do commercial layouts. We also like hook and loop couplers, even though they're not our favorite, but they work fantastic in commercial layouts. Thank you, Rob. Because when the train derails, we hear it running the whole way around the track with all the noise and all the people. It's not, like I said, it's not our favorite choice, but for commercial, we do it because we can always keep an eye. We don't have a locomotive going the whole way around. I mean, Katie is our favorite by choice, but if you're running all different trains and you have long trains or you have heavy stuff and people are going to touch them and bash them, the hook and loop is choice. Like at Rocky Ridge, that's all we use there because it holds together and that freezing cold, scalding hot. You will have springs that break, and people will debate this all the time, which is better. I just say if you're in a commercial, I've done probably 30 commercial layouts, and everybody will agree they're the best for that. Doesn't mean they look the best. They're not prototypical, but they work, right?
Yeah, and you can double hook them too. You know, when you put the hooks on both sides, you double hook them, they stay together.
That's correct. And I think we're not going to have time to talk about battery versus DC tonight. I think we're out of time, aren't we, Andrew? Yep.
So you didn't get through everything.
According to Nico, we are.
Well, that's okay. I'm glad we made it through. We were happy to be your guest tonight. Hopefully we were informative about trains and what we do and how we keep ours rolling.
Yeah. So, well, give me a second here. I'll get the drawing up for this. If there was a couple more things you needed to say there, Turk, you kind of talk faster than I thought you were gonna.
What about LGB motor blocks? Philip wants to know.
I didn't bring that up. I'm sorry. Basically on them, the motors last a long time. You're talking, $60 to $70. The gears chew. idler gears once in a while, and LGB moguls, but for the most part, they're very durable. The downfall with that is the German people don't want you taking their train apart, but you're forced to do it to get in to lubricate it. You just have to be careful when you're putting the skid shoes back in on the mogul that they set right. Maybe that'll be for another program. We can talk about steam engines more, such as Pacifics and the internals of, like the Mikados and stuff, because I did have a nice motor block here to show, which is what goes in every
Prime mover,
every Mikado, every -9. Am I missing any here, Nico?
GP40.
Well, a little different on GP40, a little different slightly, but yes, that's correct. Different motor. But this block here, we hope to be available from Bachmann, because that will solve a lot of our older trains problems. Rather than, you don't have to buy all the bearings and the axles. You'll get a complete linkage to put in, because if you have a steam engine, say that it's a Mikado and it's a 2A2, that's 4 of those to put in. Currently, we would have to buy 2 motor blocks from Bachmann to just get, 4 sets of gearboxes, which would be an awful lot of money. And you better love your steamer to take that apart for that.
That's a lot of taking apart too. I just did a Mikado and replaced all the gears in it.
And it's a lot of work. People don't realize that it's a nifty design, but it is a lot of time consuming.
Yep.
Well, I think we'll wrap that up for us tonight. We thank you for having us. Hope we were informative.
Yep.
Any other questions for us?
Got a lot of good shows, a lot of thank yous.
Hey, I had myself muted again and forgot.
That's why we were doing so good.
Yeah, that's why we were doing so good. I was muted. You want me to have them just email me, and then I'll send you the winner's info over, unless you happen to know them, Turk?
No, I do not know them. You may email it over to me and we'll take care of it.
Well, let's see who's going to win here then.
I entered this time.
You entered this time, you're still going to get robbed.
We didn't enter. I thought we weren't allowed. I thought we were exempt.
Okay, Chuck, I'm going to say your last name probably wrong. Karpinski?
That's
If
correct.
I got that wrong, I'm sorry.
I went to school with a Karpinski.
So if you could, Chuck, shoot me an email, info@largescaletrains.com, and just include your mailing address, and we will get that off to Turk so he can get that off to you. And then, of course, I know the question that I'm going to have. Let me get rid of that.
If they need my email for information more, I'd be happy to give that as well.
Yeah, I'll forward it off to you. That way you're not having to put your email out there.
I don't mind. Everybody knows Turk Russell. If you look it up, it's trains and Hondas. That's what we do.
Trains and Hondas. There's a combination.
That's a combination.
And then I know the next question was going to be, when's the next live stream? I got that scrolling at the bottom. Our next live stream is going to be February 25th at 7 p.m. Eastern. And we are going to have John Sacerdoti from the Amherst Railway Society on, as well as Don Sweet from Remote Control Systems of New England. I will get you more info on everything we're going to be talking about. If you check the website, I'll have it updated here shortly at largescaletrains.com. Just go to the show calendar that's on there. I can tell you we'll be talking about the Northeast
Large Scale Show.
Large Scale Show, thank you. And I am not 100% certain, but I think Don is going to be talking about radio control options.
That is correct. I was going to mention him. He and I are friends. And yes, he is the battery guy.
Real pro and battery.
That's correct.
So, well, we really, really thank you guys for being on tonight. I got to say, Turk, you powered through that stuff.
I think John Sacerdoti will beat me next week. He can still out-talk me.
I got to tell you what, John, I don't know where he gets his energy from.
He's very informative, too. I just tried to rack it all in together tonight.
Well, thanks again, guys, for coming on. We appreciate it.
Thanks
I
for
know
having us.
we talked about this at last year's East Coast Large Scale Show, and I'm glad we got it done.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you for having us, and we might see you again.
All right.
Yeah.
And
It's,
Turk and Rob, if you want to hang out for a moment after our outro, after we go off the air, if you got to go, I understand.
No, we're good.
Okay. Well, thank you everybody for tuning in tonight, and we will see you next month.
Thank you, everyone.
Peace out.
Have a good night.